Hi BookTube, it's Peg at the History Shelf. Glad to see all of you back here again. Today is Wednesday, February the 5th. And I don't know, I wanted to mention a few things in this video. Wanted to say thank you to everyone. I just passed 600 subscribers today. Woo! Woo! Thank you! So that was pretty thrilling. I really had no expectations of ever being having that many subscribers when I started last September. So it's very encouraging. So thank you. Let's see. I thought this video might be a little bit of a mashup between a January wrap-up and a February TBR. I think going forward, my TBRs might not be at the beginning of the month. They might just be when I start reading a new book. Just because I find that a lot of the books I'm reading, and especially for review purposes, they kind of roll over into the next month. And so rather than just keep repeating the same books over, and you know, especially when I'm reading huge chunksters, you know, I have one going on right now, as you all know, as you've heard the joke, but about a former British Prime Minister biography. I can't even do that. I can't even say that.
Just in case.
Okay.
It could be on Macmillan. I don't know.
Okay.
Open mind.
It's not on Harold Macmillan. Okay. Anyway, so that book I'm about halfway through, and I will finish it this month, and then moving on to the next. But anyway, I've got some really wild, funky hair. I got some cool stuff going on here tonight, guys. I guess my rock and roll hair with my rock and roll shirt. So,
I like it.
Thank you. I like it too. Sorry. Yeah, so I thought what I do is just kind of talk about what I'm currently reading, and I've also decided that I think it's okay to show you. I'm a BookTube Prize judge for the nonfiction category. Excuse me. This voice keeps going in and out. And I am judging one of the groups, and they are announcing the different groups on social media, so everyone knows, you know, what books have been nominated. But as a judge, I think the rules are I can't talk to other judges about my reading, and I can't really share what I think on my channel right now until we move on to the next round. But I can at least show you, you know, what I'm reading or about to start reading, because that will inform a lot of my reading for February and also March. So it is a February TBR in the sense of showing you what I've got coming up. And as far as a January wrap-up, I am still working through that biography that shall not be named. And I am, and then I am also working my way through Revolutionary Brothers by Tom Chafin. Last time I mentioned this book to you guys, I mentioned how, again, the subtitle here is about the Thomas Jefferson and the Marquis de Lafayette and the friendship that helped forge two nations. Okay, so I'm about 200 pages in, and the book is 450 pages. I mean, look at my bookmark here, if you can see it. Okay, right here. We still haven't gotten to the crux of how their friendship. They haven't really even been hanging out. I don't know what's going on here. It's more of just a light, airy overview, you know, dual biography, but not really. It doesn't really go into terrible detail on either man, as opposed to like having like a 1,000-page biography on Jefferson or something larger on Lafayette. So I'm still waiting for the intersections to happen. So where I'm at in the story is that Jefferson has been, he received a commission to go over to work on the Paris Commission in 1784 to work out the details of the peace, the ending of the war, right? So, and then Lafayette, oh God, he's kind of floating around. But they still haven't really shown how these guys, you know, I've read, maybe there was a couple of letters back and forth during the battles in Virginia, when Jefferson was governor, and he had to like evacuate, and Lafayette was fighting battles down in Virginia. But again, we're not getting to the crux of the thesis, the argument, or not the argument, but the case he's trying to make here. We're still not there yet. But other than that, it's an enjoyable, American Revolutionary story of these two guys. I'm reading it's well written, but I'm still waiting for what the book is supposed to be about to happen. Anyway, and I will be, again, writing a review. I will write a review, Steve. I know I'm not writing them fast enough, but I do still write reviews. I sent you one only a few weeks ago. Oh, but I'm not. He's pulling my pigtails again, you guys. This is what Steve Donahue does, and he does it so well. As you can see, I have these flowing pigtails sticking out of my hair. Short hair. Anyway, so that's one I'm still reading. And I am reading this book, The Age of Entitlement, America Since the 60s by Christopher Caldwell. Not sure that I'm liking it very much, but again, I'm about 80 pages in. The crux is that America kind of since the 60s, how can I say, kind of cleaved to two separate views of the Constitution. And but he's making a case like the civil rights stuff changed the way people looked at freedom and liberty, and I just, okay, he's still got a ways to go here. He's talking about how like race views changed, how sexual norms or things changed, war, debt, diversity, winners, losers, how this was all changed in the light of the 60s and what happened in the 60s with the revolution, just the, I guess, sexual revolution, the Civil Rights Act, the women's equal rights, so women's liberation movement. I'm gathering he didn't agree with it or thinks that, was bad for the country, which I don't think is true. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Still working through this. And then for fiction, I am reading this book. This is coming out in April, and I'm writing a small 300 page, like a 300 word write up for the, what is it? Historical Novels Review, Novel Society or something. And this is The Abstainer, a novel by Ian McGuire. Do I have a description? I can give you guys a description. This book sounds really interesting, especially with my Irish other half over here.
Just let me know when to boo.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to boo right now. Let's see. So, Ian McGuire, he has written a book before called The North Water, which was longlisted for the Booker Prize. I haven't read it. But this book, The Abstainer renders a vivid portrait of Stephen Doyle, an Irish-American veteran of the Civil War, who arrives in Manchester from New York with a thirst for blood. He has joined the Fenians. I pronounced that correctly. He has joined the Fenians, a secret society intent on ending British rule in Ireland by any means necessary. Head Constable James O'Connor has fled grief and drink in Dublin for a sober start in Manchester, and connections with his fellow Irishmen are proving to be particularly advantageous in spying on Fenian activity. When a long-lost nephew returns from America and arrives on O'Connor's doorstep looking for work, O'Connor cannot foresee the way his fragile new life will be imperiled and how his and Doyle's fates will be intertwined. So this sounds really good. It's set in the mid-19th century. It brings in a lot of the elements that I enjoy.
Is Liam Neeson going to be in the adaptation?
I do not know.
She should be.
Okay. She asked if Liam Neeson will be in the adaptation. But I'm guessing he would make a really good O'Connor. Yeah, so anyway. So yeah, it's interesting. It has all the elements that I enjoy, which is like American Civil War, like as far as the veterans, and the Irish Americans played a huge part in the Civil War, especially in the North. They fought mostly on the northern side. I mean, there were exceptions. There were many on the southern side as well, but yeah. But this takes place back in England. Or wait, yes, Manchester. Where's Manchester?
England.
It's in yeah, it is in England. It's just like okay. Anyway, so I'm reading The Abstainer. Early days yet, but it's good. So those are the things I'm reading currently, in addition to my other magazines and stuff. And oh no, I'm reading another book. So now we're moving into the BookTube Prize books that I'm judging. So one of the books is on audio, and that book is called The Only Plane in the Sky, an oral history of 9/11. Can't remember the name of the author, but anyway, that one I have on audio, and I've been listening to that on my commutes to work. The next book in the category that I'm judging in, I have is Guest House for Young Widows, Among the Women of ISIS by Azadeh Movini.
Guest windows.
Yep, I'm not going to say. Sorry. Martine, when she first saw the book, she thought it said Guest House for Young Windows. She has a great knack for that. I've been reading this every night. Since I have 6 books to judge before March 30th, I'm going to do obviously 3 books a month. So I'm reading Only Plane in the Sky, or listening to it right now. Working my way through this one. As you can see, that's how far I am right now. And then I need to start another one. And then these are the other 3, and then one I still have to get yet, and I probably will get it on Audible. Okay. So, and I haven't decided yet what my next book for February will be, but it might be this one. This is Rough Magic, Riding the World's Loneliest Horse Race by Lara Pryor Palmer. I guess I didn't really tell you about these books. I'm not telling you what I think of them. I'll just give you just a rundown of the description. But the Guest House for Young Widows is about it's about the thousands of women who emigrated from the United States and Europe, Russia, and Central Asia, from across North Africa and the rest of the Middle East to join the Islamic State. These were the educated daughters of diplomats, trainee doctors, and teenagers with straight-A averages, as well as working-class drifters and desolate housewives. And they joined forces to set up makeshift clinics and schools for the Islamic homeland they'd envisioned. Guest House for Young Widows charts the different ways women were recruited, inspired, or compelled to join the militants. And then it gives a brief outline of some of the main women that are followed in this book. So Azadeh Movini's exquisite sensitivity and rigorous reporting make these forgotten women indelible and illuminate the turbulent politics that set them on their paths. So that's what this book is about. Now, Rough Magic, this book. At the age of 19, Lara Pryor Palmer discovered a website devoted to the world's longest, toughest horse race, an annual competition of endurance and skill that involves dozens of riders racing a series of 25 wild ponies across 1,000 kilometers of Mongolian grassland. On a whim, she decided to enter the race. As she boarded a plane to East Asia, she was utterly unprepared for what awaited her. And then it gives you a rundown of some of the things that she encounters. But it sounds like quite the adventure. So I might start this one once I finish this one right here. So, and that would complete my 3 for the month for the BookTube Prize judging. And then the other 3 in March, I mean, I can mention them again in March, I guess for March TBR. But since this is kind of a catch-all video, which I might run a little long, so hopefully you guys won't mind. The next book would be The Ministry of Truth, the biography of George Orwell's 1984 by Dorian Lynskey. This is it's an authoritative, wide-ranging, and incredibly timely history of 1984. Its literary sources, its composition by Orwell, its deep and lasting effect on the Cold War, and its vast influence throughout world culture at every level, from high to pop. So this looks pretty interesting. I'm not going to go into too much detail since I am reading this and going to judge it. So that's the next one. And here is another one I'll be starting in March. Furious Hours. Sorry, gosh. It's like I hit puberty or something. Furious Hours, Murder, Fraud, and the Last Trial of Harper Lee by Casey. I think it's Sepp or Kep. Not sure if the C is hard there or not. This is the stunning story of an Alabama serial killer in the true crime book that Harper Lee worked on obsessively in the years after To Kill a Mockingbird. This says here, Reverend Willie Maxwell was a rural preacher accused of murdering 5 of his family members for insurance money in the 1970s. With the help of a savvy lawyer, he escaped justice for years until a relative shot him dead at the funeral of his last victim. Despite hundreds of witnesses, Maxwell's murderer was acquitted, thanks to the same attorney who had previously defended the Reverend. Sitting in the audience during the Vigilante's trial was Harper Lee, who had traveled from New York City to her native Alabama with the idea of writing her own In Cold Blood, the true crime classic she had helped her friend Truman Capote research. Lee spent a year in town reporting on the Maxwell case and many more years trying to finish the book she called The Reverend. Now Casey Sepp, or Kep, brings this story to life, from the shocking murders to the courtroom drama to the racial politics of the Deep South. At the same time, she offers a deeply moving portrait of one of the country's most beloved writers and her struggle with fame, success, and the mystery of artistic creativity. So, Furious Hours. I'm sure many of you guys have heard of these books. I mean, they're pretty popular right now. And then the final book, which I don't have a copy of yet, and like I said, I'll probably just get it on Audible, just to help me get 6 books read in 2 months, is Parkland, The Birth of a Movement by Dave Cullen. So that one's about the Parkland shooting and the aftermath and the students kind of just getting active to advocate for themselves and their safety. So, yeah, you guys, this right here represents BookTube Prize reading, BookTube Nonfiction Prize reading. That's 4 of them, and again, 2 others will be on Audible. And then, so then this is like current reading along with the other BookTube Prize book I'm reading. So, into Age of Entitlement, The Abstainer, Revolutionary Brothers, the biography of Sauron.
Sauron?
Sauron. Is Sauron the bad one?
In Lord of the Rings? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We'll just call her Sauron.
I don't think she'd appreciate that.
Well,
We're going up there.
I'm trying to make you happy. Sorry, I know. Sorry, guys. We have our own discussions. I don't mean to. One of these days, I'll get her on camera.
No. Boo.
I will. You have fans out there.
I think that's
I don't think they can hear you.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. And then this book, I also belong to a couple of like online book clubs, and finished reading The Lost Man by Jane Harper last month, and I really enjoyed it. And this book I had been meaning to read just on my own, and then they offered it up for just like a book club discussion. They send out a free free copy as long as you want to, get involved in the discussion. And I said, heck yeah. And this is Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried, which was featured in the Vietnam War documentary by Ken Burns on PBS. But this is it's a novel, but I think it's meant to be somewhat. I don't know if it's an autobiographical but it's Tim O'Brien was a Vietnam vet, and it's a thin little volume, about 200 pages. But let me just read this to you. With more than 2 million copies in print, The Things They Carried is a classic work of American literature that has not stopped changing minds and lives since it burst onto the literary scene. It is a groundbreaking meditation on war, memory, imagination, and the redemptive power of storytelling. So, it doesn't really get into the plot, but obviously it is like a Vietnam group going out on patrol, and good stuff. This is stuff that I will eat up, as I really enjoyed Colonel Keith Nightingale's memoir recently, Just Another Day in Vietnam, which I highly recommend. This will kind of take me back into that world for a little bit here. It's fascinating stuff. So this is for just an online book club discussion. So yes, I know I have a lot to read, you guys. It's always the case here. But it's a good dilemma to have. If you're going to have a dilemma, that's a good one to have. I'm looking around to see what other books I can show you. I wanted to mention this. So Steve was thinking of doing a Trollope read-along, and the response to that was great. And I watched his video today where he talked about, as you know, the big event in March for BookTube is March of the Mammoths. But before he made that video, he had suggested we read Mr. Scarborough's Family by Trollope. So, I went around, I was looking online for paperback copies, and that's one of the Trollope books that's really hard to find in a decent, like, either Penguin or Oxford World Classics edition. They don't really exist. They have the Create Space version, print on demand stuff that I don't trust, or they have these hardbound classics that are like, that are printed also by these print-on-demand companies that are like $41. I was like, no way. But then I noticed that it's free, completely free, on Kindle as a Prime member. Or I think you don't even have to be a Prime member. I think it's just public domain work. And I know Steve has mentioned that. I just wanted to have it on a device that I already have, so I'm not trying to read it on my computer laptop through, what do they call that thing on Google with the free books? Yeah, well, you know what I mean. So I can read it on my Fire tablet. I'm not a big fan of reading on tablets, on ebooks, but that's my only way of being able to find the book. So, but then on the March of the Mammoths video today, he's taking a vote. He's feeling that the pulse of everybody, but he's thinking of changing it to a book of Trollope's that would meet the requirements of a Mammoth book, which is 800 pages or more. So he's thinking of doing The Way We Live Now. And I think I might be able to find that in a paperback edition. But anyway, I'm waiting to see what Steve is going to decide on for March, and I hope to take part in that. And as far as the March Mammoths go, I can't even think out that far because I'm focusing on BookTube Prize judging, which is really exciting. And just other stuff like that. I'm in the middle of 3 books that I want to finish to review for Open Letters Review. See, I'm always working. I'm always working for you, Steve. Never doubt me. Never. And then Steve sent me a big bunch of books, like a little care package when I was still under the weather. So I think next month, who knows? I might start the. I'm looking down here. That's where the books are on the floor. the history of the Eastern European people. I think that might qualify as a chunkster. I think that might be 800 pages. But you know what? I haven't thought of that yet, and we're going to leave that there for now. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what's happening in my world. It's a 25-minute video, but I wanted to check in. Oh, also, I wanted to do a shout out to another booktuber that I didn't. I feel so embarrassed. We've been emailing, and I sent him a book because I had a duplicate, and he answered my. He won the trivia question I had.
Did you ever give the answer to that, by the way?
I didn't give the answer. I don't think anyone was. Okay. I had a sweatshirt that said the USCSS Nostromo, and I said if anyone knows the reference there, I have a duplicate of this book. I can send it to you. And I think he was the first and only one that guessed right. Although I had a second one later, much later after I had already, sent him off the book, that guessed correctly. But it was a reference to the ship in Alien was named the Nostromo, which was named after the Joseph Conrad novel. What? Alien is my favorite movie probably of all time. Alien, not aliens, although I love aliens, but I'm a purist, and it all began with Alien.
You're so snooty.
I am snooty when it comes to alien movies.
Oh.
The first is the best. I know everyone loves Cameron, and they love all the action in the second one, and I get it. But Alien it's sheer artwork, it's artistry, it's a masterpiece. Anyway, so the sweatshirt said Nostromo. Anyway, John David, our friend John David, yeah, we've been emailing and having great fun in the comment section. I'm embarrassed to say I saw he wrote back someone else about and he's mentioning his channel and how he does book reviews, and I'm like, whoa, how did I know I must have checked out his channel, but I hadn't. I didn't realize he had all these all this video archive, and I was just so it was like a bonanza today, and I'm gonna have to check out more. Oh, he's got like playlists for different types of like literature and history and different things like that. Yeah, we're going to have to watch it. I know. And I said, it's time to give a shout out to John David. I will link his channel in the show notes. Please go check him out. He's got really great insights into, it looks like he does a lot of like literature fiction. Again, I still need to explore the history stuff, but smart cookie. You're a smart cookie, sir. And yeah, he said I always wanted to be the coolest girl in school, and he did a hair flip on the comments today, and that just cracked me up. He's a funny guy. But yeah, he's like I saw that you must have been my 10th like. He's like, I haven't had a 10th like since October 2018. And I'm like, that's hard to believe because you almost have 1,000 subscribers. So, but go check him out, subscribe. Give him a like because he's got good content, and I'm always about finding new booktubers, finding new content, and sharing it with everyone because that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to spread the love, share the wealth. So John David, check out his channel below, and yeah. So I think that will conclude this video, which is a little bit of a wrap up. A little bit of a TBR, a little bit of a BookTube Prize update, and a shout out, amongst some other shenanigans. All right, well, it's about 30 minutes. This was a really long video. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I will be back soon. I have something I want to show you as far as my historical magazines go. I'm really excited about that video. But I want it to be daylight because I get really great lighting in here when it's daylight. So the things I want to show you, I want the colors to really pop. So anyway, I will wrap this up. Happy reading, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.